Hey everybody, welcome back to Run and Gun, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make more moody and dramatic portraits with some lighting tips and tricks. So let's get to it. So we're here today again with my light on a stick, and I really love using this for illustrating different types of lighting techniques. So one of the things that I notice a lot, especially with new photographers, is they're afraid of shadows. And in order to get dramatic light, you're gonna have to rely on shadows. Shadows are what create depth and mood, and they add such a dramatic feel and a lot of drama to your image. So don't be afraid of shadows. A lot of photographers like to start out and they'll put their light right here in front in order to minimize as many shadows as possible. And having your light directly in front of your subject just creates a very flat and very boring looking photo, and nobody wants to look at a flat, boring looking portrait. So from now on in this video, we're gonna imagine there is an invisible line or axis that runs from my nose straight into the camera lens. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this light directly on that axis, and you can see when that light is lined up directly between the lens and my nose that this is a very boring shot. The lighting is flat, the shadows are not giving depth to this image, and it's not interesting. I would not take a portrait like this. So the first thing I want to do is take my light on a stick and I want to move it off this axis anywhere. So I'm going to start by moving the light to my right, and you'll see if you start looking at the shadows on my face as I move the light towards the right, you'll see the shadows will start moving towards my left. So what we're going to do is if we move it about say 20 or 30 degrees to my right, you'll see I'll get a little loop under my nose, and we're starting to get more dramatic. This is called loop lighting. And if I keep on moving over towards the right, even farther off the axis between my nose and the lens, you'll see it starts to get even more dramatic and even more moody. Now, if we keep on moving this light to the right, you'll see that these shadows from my nose start to extend across my cheek, and we'll get this little triangle here. And now we have one of my absolute favorite lighting styles, and that is called Rembrandt Lighting. It comes from the painter Rembrandt, and it creates this nice little light triangle right there on the cheek. And you'll see with Rembrandt lighting, in addition to the triangle, you'll see the reflection of the light in my eyes. If I don't move it too high or too low, we'll get that nice little catch light, and that just gives your subject some life. If you start moving it too far off the axis, you'll start losing that catch light. And without a catch light, your subject's eyes just kind of feel dead or glazed over or lifeless. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna keep on moving this light to the right. Right now it's at about 45 degrees off of our little center axis here, and we're going to move it to about 90 degrees. You'll see these shadows here keep stretching across the left hand side of my face, and you'll see this catch light in my eye kind of disappear. And I actually like this right here. This is super dramatic. It's right between split light and Rembrandt. I'm just getting a tiny bit of light in the eye. I also really like this look for portraits, but we'll just kind of keep on moving here. And once my light on a stick or light source is completely perpendicular to that axis we made with my nose and the camera lens, you'll see I have this perfect split right here, extremely dramatic lighting. And this is called split lighting because the shadow and the light split right down the center of my face. And we can even keep going, just keep moving my light on a stick all the way around. You can see we've lost all light in my eye. We can just see some little spots of light on my nose and chin and neck. And this starts turning from split light into a little bit of an accent light. We have this very short streak of light here. I can start seeing a lot more texture in my face, and it's starting to look super dramatic. And for your portrait, at this point, it might be a little bit overkill, but we're just gonna keep pushing this, kind of show you what you can do. We'll keep sending this light towards the back. We're turning this into a little bit of a rim light or an accent light. And the farther we go back, the more this just turns into a rim light and just barely lighting up the side of my face. The light rays are coming from my light source, just kind of skimming off my cheek and going almost directly into my camera lens. And this little sliver of my face starts looking really overexposed because the light rays are almost going directly into my camera lens. This would be a great opportunity to use spot metering for exposure and set your metering to the brightest part of your image. So let's bring our light source slowly back around, and you'll see our shadows will start coming back in towards the center of my face. And again, you can see this lighting is just super boring as we discussed earlier. But we have more than just our horizontal axis, we have a vertical axis. So I can bring my light on a stick up here, and right now my light is at a 45-degree angle coming directly towards my face. We're getting some strong shadows here, and then I can twist the light a little bit more towards the ground. You'll start seeing some deeper shadows in my eyes. I'll keep bringing the light up, and right now the light is pointed directly at the floor, again perpendicular to that axis between my nose and the lens. So now I have some creepy raccoon looking eyes. It's very eerie, very moody, very dark and dramatic. So I'm gonna bring the light down right in front of the camera lens, cross that axis, and I'll bring the light right beneath my chin, and now I'm getting that creepy campfire look. Everyone has gone to a campfire or told scary stories and held that flashlight right beneath your face to get that eerie look. And again, we are perpendicular with that axis between my nose and the camera lens. So super creepy, right? So another trick, in addition to being able to move my light off the center axis, is I can actually move my nose and break the center axis that I've created between my nose and the camera. So let's say I move my nose to my right just a little bit, I break that axis, and I also bring my light around, and this starts to look extremely dramatic. I create that Rembrandt light again with that triangle right here. I have this part of my face lit up. This is called short lighting. I have the short part of my face lit and the broad part of my face not lit, as opposed to if I had the light on this side of my face, the broad side of my face. Again, we filled in all the shadows and we've created some pretty darn boring light. So I'm gonna go back to the short light, create that Rembrandt light again. Takes a little bit of finessing to create it. I wanna get it just right. That looks pretty eerie. So the further I go and the further I break that axis between my camera lens and my nose, I'm looking about at a 45-degree angle. Again, I can also break this axis by moving my nose upwards, moving the light upwards, and the farther I get from looking directly at the camera and having my light directly between my camera and my subject, the more dramatic and the more moody this light looks. It just starts looking awesome. I love posing my subjects looking at the light away from the camera. And I really love this setup just because it's so simple. I can use my iPhone, which also creates a very harsh light from the backlight on my phone, or I can just use a little baby LED light in a GorillaPod, and I will put links down in the description to where you can find and create your own lighting setup. So that is all for this video. I hope you learned some little lighting tips and tricks. Play around with your lights, play around with breaking that axis between your subject and the lens, and you're gonna come up with some pretty cool things just by experimenting. So if you like this video, make sure you give it that thumbs up. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button so you see all of my tips, tricks, and hacks. And until next time, get out and go shoot.